Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, you know, you look at the priority list. We're going to hear from Sean Duffy, and he'll be on this program tomorrow night. We're down thousands of air traffic controllers. We see the mess in the skies, and they've got woke, you know, program after program, climate regulation after climate regulation. They didn't get one person on broadband with all those billions, not one? How about Starlink?
No, unfortunately, it was a radical administration that accomplished very little, and what they did accomplish was harmful. You know, as I watch Joe Biden's interview, he did say something right. He said it wouldn't have made a difference if he'd stepped down earlier, and I agree with that. Whether he stepped down when he did or earlier, they would have lost, and they would have lost because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's and the Democrats' record was radical. It was extreme, and it was a failure. When you open up our southern border to 12 million people invading this country, when you let in murderers and rapists and child molesters, when you say to every gang member in the world, come to America and kill Americans, when you say to terrorists, we have an open red carpet for you on our southern border, the American people have a way of rejecting that. When you attack American energy and oil and gas and drive up prices and drive up inflation, the American people have a way of rejecting that. And when you engage in a radical record, look, Pete Buttigieg, he didn't focus on actually building roads and bridges. As you pointed out, he had $42 billion to connect broadband in America. He connected zero, nothing. When it comes to his actual job, things like keeping the flying public safe, air traffic controllers, our air traffic control system is so old and antiquated. It is literally 1950s technology. They use radars, they use little slips of paper, and they use floppy disks. I guarantee you, everyone under 30 watching this show doesn't know what a floppy disk is because they didn't exist.
Are you serious? They use floppy disks? You're kidding me, right?
I'm not kidding.
There's no way.
I am not kidding.
Was it the bigger ones,
computers
the 5-inch
that we use for air traffic
ones?
control? I don't know if they're the 5. That's actually a good question, whether the 5-inch or 3-inch, but it's floppy disk. The computers are the equivalent of a Commodore 64. They actually, so I talked with Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, today. They have to buy the parts to update our air traffic control system from eBay, because they don't make them anymore. They're 30, 40, 50 years old. Now, the Trump administration, they're leaning in. We're going to invest real money. And I've been fighting for a decade to modernize our air traffic control system. But sadly, the Biden administration was completely AWOL on this.
Okay, the border, the economy, war in Europe, war in the Middle East. You juxtapose all of that, Senator, to where they were spending money and where they were focusing their attention. In America, they were focusing their attention on DEI. They were focusing their attention on wokeness. They were focusing their attention on regulations. But abroad, then they were spending hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. New Green Deal, wokeism, transgenderism, LGBTQism. I mean, I can't even believe in many ways we survived it. And now to undo this mess, the only thing they have for Donald Trump is their criticism. And it all happened on their watch. And I don't think, I don't want to relitigate the election, but wow. I mean, it's breathtaking how out of touch they are with their own failed record.
Look, there was a level of corruption and a level of incompetence that is staggering. The corruption, they weaponized every branch of the federal government, the Department of Justice and the FBI. They attacked their opponents, including indicting Donald Trump 4 times because they were terrified the voters would reelect him. You know, I just covered in my podcast, Verdict with Ted Cruz, I just covered a story out of USAID about a Biden administration official who funneled massive amounts of money to a crony of his in Africa, who in turn wired money back to him, utterly corrupt payoffs. And by the way, when Doe showed up to say, show us the books, he blocked the doors and said, no, you can't see the books. That level of corruption, look, I interviewed, again on my podcast, Lee Zeldin, the EPA administrator. He described how in the closing months of the Biden administration, they spent $20 billion. Here's how the Biden administration described it: throwing gold bars out the window. That included $2 billion to a nonprofit that employed Stacey Abrams to just, it was utter corruption. And so That's a big part of the election, and it's one of the reasons I'm really excited about the Trump administration, because they're changing that and turning it around.
All right, Senator Cruz, we appreciate your time. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.